And we're back for another episode of the How to Sell podcast. In this episode, you're going to learn why SMS is such an important part of your sales process and how to get your buyer to engage on SMS. Welcome, folks. I'm here with my co-host, David Fastuca. David, welcome.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Louis. I look forward to it each and every week.
So how was that? So just for you listening, Dave went to South by Southwest in Sydney last week. And how did you go? How did you go on a panel to talk about selling when you can't sell?
Well, a whole lot of the week was I didn't have to talk to you for a week.
Yeah, I was kind of intrigued. I mean, there were some great guys on the guest and ladies on the guest, but on the list, what was it?
On the panel.
How did you actually get yourself on that panel, by the way?
Well, they surveyed amazing humans in the sales space, and my name popped up. No, look, it was
that's 2 times, Dave. We need to understand. We need to do a podcast on how Dave Can't Sell can get a blue tick on LinkedIn. How did you get that blue tick?
Being consistent.
Being consistently, but you can't sell.
He's turned into a fucking
No, we go back. Okay, ready. So, welcome back to the How to Sell podcast. I'm the host, Luigi Prestinenzi, and I'm joined with my co-host, David Can't Sell Fastuca. So, welcome, Dave.
It's lovely to be here, Louis.
Yes, so we're back. You're back from South by Southwest. Tell us about South by Southwest, Dave, Sydney.
Look, it was an interesting event. Interesting because just how big the damn thing was.
Yeah.
You can easily get lost in all the side chats and side panels that were on. But we had an interesting panel, represented Growth Forum, with 3 other amazing humans talking about sales, growth, and channel partnerships. I think it was highlighted one of the best side panels.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if it was due to... definitely wasn't my talk.
It wasn't your talk?
No.
I had lots of people reach out and said, hey, I met Dave. I don't know what he does at Growth Forum, but the other guys are really good. I said, that's fantastic. Thanks for sharing.
But it was interesting, yeah. Like an event of that sort of scale, I think it will spread kilometres wide within the Sydney CBD. So it was pretty hectic. But good to be back home.
Awesome. Well, look, you probably, if you are watching, you notice we've got a little bit of a change. You'll see a little bit of a change to our video format. We're doing it together now versus via virtually. We're really going to try to up the ante when it comes to this podcast, especially moving into 2025. And one of the topics that we definitely want to talk about, and you're probably noticing, you're getting to that stage of the year, end of October, start of November. Deals can actually start to slow down at this stage of the year, right? And a big part of it, we're hearing it already in our community, is potentially coming to Christmas. People are using it, buyers are using that as a bit of a stall to push things into 2025. And so even though this session's not about how to revive stalled deals, we do want to talk about a channel that you should always be activating when in your sales process, and that's SMS. And I don't think SMS is a topic that is spoken about enough. And we're going to talk about some strategies that you can implement immediately to get your buyers onto SMS as soon as possible. And especially, it's going to help you, especially when you do have those stalled deals, to have that channel open. So let's dive into this topic, Dave. And we've got an example of a real life deal that we recently closed, where a lot of the communication was happening with text. And some of you might be thinking, but hang on, I'm selling to enterprise. I'm selling to larger accounts. I can't behave on SMS with those larger accounts. And to reinforce this, the account that we won is a multi-billion-dollar organization, and we were dealing with executive directors, so quite senior people, and we got them on text message. So
and they weren't even, and just to highlight more on that point, it wasn't like they're a multi-billion-dollar tech company, so they're always advanced with their ways. This is quite a
traditional.
That's right.
Yeah, traditional, large, huge business, thousands and thousands of people around Australia. So it definitely goes to show that you can leverage these strategies across various different types of organizations. So,
Louis, give us the high level of how we won this deal.
Yep.
And where SMS, whether it be WhatsApp or direct SMS, came into play.
Perfect. So first and foremost, we won the deal, and the steps in the deal if we think about it, I think in the end, from the very first meeting to that point of success where we got the project and we got the purchase order number, there was probably around 14 meetings with about 20 different stakeholders across the organization. So velocity was fast, but we absolutely followed the process. We had a meeting, we put our notes together, we circulate those notes, we got consensus on the notes. We had a bit of a new stakeholders came in. That discovery brief we kept having to adapt that discovery brief. And then once we had a clear alignment, we then obviously presented our solution and then presented the final offer. And there were a few other gates that happened at the end, but I think the biggest part of the process, and this is takeaway number one for you listening, is whenever I finish a meeting with any form of prospect, whenever I have that initial discovery call or even that initial meeting, when I do send my follow-up email to say, hey, thanks for taking the time to meet, and I send them the discovery brief or just a thank you email before the next meeting, I always follow it up with an SMS. Okay, it's part of my playbook, right? I want to send that SMS as quick as I can. Now, I actually send the SMS once I've booked the meeting. By the way,
two things there. What are you saying in that message? And are you using your own phone, your own number?
Yeah.
If I'm working in the company, I don't want to give my number out potentially.
Yeah. Well, it's, with P3, for example, I've got a P3 number that's linked to my CRM, and I'm using that number within the CRM that we use. So book a meeting and text forms part of our process immediately. Obviously, for Growth Forum, I'm using another number that's on my phone, right? Now, what do I say? If I book a meeting with someone, I'll always send, thanks for taking my call. I've shot you a meeting invite. Look forward to connecting with you next week. For example, that SMS, 90% of the time, it gets met with a response, which is either a thumbs. They put the thumbs up on the text, the little emoji signal. They'll send a thank you. Look forward to connecting, like say a response. So that's kind of the majority of the time of what happens. Yeah.
Now, just to get into the weeds a bit, you're just sending this as like you're SMSing me, right?
Yeah.
SMSing friend. There's
Very
no
quick.
special formatting. None of that. It just feels like a real, true SMS.
Correct. It's short. And I think the big challenge, which we find with a lot of people sending SMS, and we're talking purely B2B format here, right? And we trial some other stuff in the business to consumer side of things, but B2B format, you can't the text message should never be an email. We've got to remember that. It's just like LinkedIn. The LinkedIn message that you place in a LinkedIn message can't be the same as an email. It's got to be shorter. SMS even shorter, right? Keep it short. Don't put, hi, Dave. Thank you very much for the time to meet. That you spent meeting with me this week. I really appreciate you sharing A, B, and C. Following our meeting, kind regards, Luigi. Like, that's not how you send a text message. That's not how you send a text message to your kids, to your friends. It's going to be short. It's going to be sort of less formal. But the driver behind why I do that is because this is a really important stat. 93% of text messages are read within 3 minutes, right? Powerful stat. So I read that from Message Media. I saw there's some incredible data about SMS. The messages it's the best channel to get their attention, right? Better than email, better than any channel. Then the minute they respond, I've got another channel open, right? So when I then have that follow-up meeting, discovery brief, I do it again. Thanks so much. I've shot you that email with the link to the discovery brief. Now, in some cases, potentially your email might not get through for a variety of reasons, yeah? Companies, especially large enterprise accounts, and we're talking about this, a company is a large enterprise account. They have very, very strict servers, which can stop external links getting through.
Yeah.
And that happened to us with this deal. They said, hey, thanks when we got to the proposal stage, because we sent digital proposals. They didn't get the digital proposal.
Did you send the link in the SMS?
So I did at the end of it, during that conversation, and sorry, here is the link. But if I hadn't have sent the text to say I've shot you that prop,
they wouldn't know.
I wouldn't have got the response back to say, hey, it didn't come through.
Yeah.
So it's part of my play each and every time, right? And you're getting engagement. And you know what's really interesting about that particular opportunity? the executive director was actually asking me some questions about earlier in the piece about the discovery brief. And then when he was in another meeting later that day with a couple of his colleagues and team members, and they were talking about this project, he actually was shooting me text messages during that meeting,
Yeah, I've got a
right?
story here for that one. Keep
And
going.
that, for me, I was running real-time feedback with him and enabling him to have further conversations internally by doing it by text. It's direct. And I had that time, and I pretty much put everything on hold for that moment, and I just focused on me messaging, and it was just back and forth. It was back and forth messaging, right?
And it builds a relationship. I'll never forget a big tender back when I was doing sales in Logamo. It was with the university, and I built a relationship with the procurement manager. And during that process, whether it be before a meeting or as she was going to another meeting with her manager, often because I started to engage with her on SMS, and the engagement began when I noticed that she hadn't jumped on the call at the right time. So I just sent her a quick SMS because I had the number. Hey, such and such, just making sure you're jumping on the call. And then that's what started the conversation on that channel. There was a lot of rapid fire questions back and forth, similar to what you mentioned then. And even when I wasn't even in the meeting, it was, hey, Dave, I'm going to go meet my boss now to talk about this project. Quick question, such that. Right. And there were some things where in a corporate scenario, they might be a little bit hesitant to send it over email.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now you've opened up that safe and secure channel, that one-to-one where it's on their phone to yours. They feel more comfortable, more open to ask you more questions. And then the trust is building with every keystroke.
100%. And this is why SMS is such a great tool to have as part of your sales process, right? So I just want to reinforce why you should be getting started first. Now, I also use SMS as part of my outreach cadence, but that's not the topic for today, right? But I'm just talking about post that conversation. Once you've got the meeting, my play is I book that meeting. I send them a text that say thank you, looking forward to next week or tomorrow or whenever. Get a thank you back. Great, right? That channel's now open. Send them a meeting. Send them the email with some follow up. Just shot that email across. Let me know X, Y, Z. Right? You've presented the proposal. You send the proposal, but it's happening throughout the entire process. Now, where you really get a significant amount of value, Dave, is when you've now presented your prop. You've seeked alignment. Great. You send that final prop, and potentially you have that bit of delay, right? You send an email, ghosting. Text is your best friend. Hey, John, connecting REX. I've also got some insight about B I think will help you. Open to a chat or something. Like you send something. I'm always big on not just saying I'm following up on your proposal. I try to bring something else. Interesting, got some data to share about X. I thought it might help in this process where you're at. We did that with this exact op, right? It was stalling. There was a bit of time. He came back immediately, said it's actually interesting. There's another stakeholder that's jumped in. We'll need to get them engaged. Fantastic. We did it, etc. But again, I leveraged text because email was not getting the response, right? Do I want you to think about this, right? Email, our buyers get hammered on average 127 emails a day. So they're getting hammered with email. Their text message, it's easier to respond on text than it potentially is email. So it's why you want to bring the SMS channel into your engagement with your buyer as soon as possible, right? Rapid fire. It's fast, it's quick, and it gets you that engagement that you need. Okay, so it's actually really important. It should be part of your stack as a part of your toolkit as a sales professional. You should be leveraging SMS. If you're not doing it, automatically add this. Now, I do get some feedback when I post on LinkedIn. People are like, "Oh, you're breaking the spam laws and all this stuff." Now, this is why we're not breaking the spam laws when it comes to SMS. Just like cold emails, same laws apply. I'm not sending the same text to 1,000 people. It is a 1-to-1 text message, right? And that's why we bypass some of those laws, because it's not spam. Spam is when you are sending the same message to a whole lot of people, right? On email and SMS, if they haven't opted in, okay. And again, if you're sitting on the fence about this, I was with a large business in Germany only a few months back, and we'll talk about the power of SMS. And I had a whole bunch of account directors in the room, about 50 of them. They were a bit reluctant, but there was one individual that said, you know what, I'm going to use SMS. I've got a deal. I haven't heard from him. He basically sent that text message, Dave. He sent it to one of the universities he was chasing. He literally got a response. And by the end of the session the next day, the deal had closed, right? There's countless examples of where SMS has got deals back, got it going, because it's a channel that's got eyeballs on it very, very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. All we can say is give it a shot at your next deal, introduce it. You got everything to gain and nothing to lose.